Hey, it's Chrissy and Amanda.
Two girls from Saskatchewan, Canada, living the Reiki life while working the 9 to 5.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us this week. You're here with Christy and Amanda at Living the Reiki Life. And today it's a solo episode with us, and we're going to be talking all about channeling and Reiki. So we have lots to share on this topic from our experience and a little bit of research. And yeah, it should be a fun one to dive into. But first, we like to, just kind of share what's been going on in our life and see what's going on. So what's up, Amanda?
Hey, yeah. So Reiki has been going really well. And I actually had a really interesting session with a woman. She found me on Google. She's just local here, and her son had passed away. And so she was coming just to help with, I can't remember if she was having signs of cancer coming in her body. I think it was something like that. And usually during my sessions, I like to talk to my clients, and just tell them what's going on. But I definitely can understand and respect the silence of just receiving Reiki and not having someone talk to you. Because as I was doing Reiki on her, and I made sure to give her a good balance, she wanted to know what I was reading on her body. But when I was doing Reiki and it was just silent, she was able to get into a really awesome meditative state where she could actually, it almost was like Christy, like she was going into an in-between, almost like to the Akashics, but an in-between state where her son spirit could come and meet her. And so she would get into those states, those very odd times, and she was able to get there when I was doing Reiki on her. Great, because it really opens up all your chakra points and it really makes you really connected to source when you clear out those points. So she was able to get to that space to meet her son again. And she got really emotional because it's obviously such a special thing. So I thought that was really cool because it wasn't like I was doing, I was just doing Reiki, but she got herself there and I just held the space. It was so beautiful. And she was able to talk to me about it and about him. And it was so healing on so many levels. And I thought that was amazing.
Wow, that's quite the session. Yeah, so she would have been accessing the realm where I feel like spirits hang out in. What's that called?
Yeah, that in between.
Yeah, the something plane. Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but I believe there is a name for that place. But yeah, it's so interesting when you're able to just be in that state and just relax that nervous system and be able to open that up. That's pretty amazing. And yeah, to connect with a child that you lost, that's just, wow. Yeah. That's so amazing. You held that space for her.
Yeah, it was really good. And how about you, Christy? What's going on? Any updates?
Yeah. So, our episode with Ryan a couple episodes back, we talked all about the dream world. And I remember in that episode, I would share about my husband and I, how we're really connected in dream time and how we decipher each other's dreams. And the one morning he was telling me about his dream because he was working away and he was just sharing about it. And I was thinking, oh, that sounds really similar to what I dreamt about. And then as we started sharing our stories, I don't want to get into too much detail because it is personal, but I was going up a hill and there was foxes and people were picking up the foxes and I was getting mad because they're wild animals and the fox bit one person. And in Troy's dream, he picked up a fox and the fox bit him. So we were in the same dream and he's like, but the foxes weren't orange or red. He's like, they were silver. And I was like, yes, they were silver in my dream as well. So it was so wild. So I had a appointment with my homeopath a couple days later, and she deciphers dreams, and she can even point you in the right direction of a remedy because our dream world is so connected to what we need, and it's so fascinating with her deciphering the dream. So yeah, I was able to get a lot of clarity on what all that dream meant, and she was blown away that Troy was in the dream with me. And it's so wild because like the fox has been so present for both of us. Like there's a family of baby foxes in the town that I'm living in. So I see them all over. And then Troy at work, there's a fox that visits him in the morning and he talks to the fox and like makes fun of him. And the fox just stares at him. And then there's another fox that will come and sit beside like the machine he's in, and it curls up in a ball and just goes to sleep right beside him, which is so wild. So of course I got like my animal power book out, looking up the fox, looking up my oracle deck, and I was sending it to Troy and we were just discussing it. And then I got the message. It was like, lean into what the fox means to you. Shut the book, put away the cards, and what does the fox mean to you? And I thought that was really powerful because we're always, outsourcing, asking other people, looking in books, but it's like, how about we lean into ourselves and go inwards and see what that is all about first? And then, of course, like going to my homeopath and discussing that further because there was a remedy that was needed that was related to foxes. And yeah, it was really interesting. And there was one thing I wanted to share that she taught me about dreams. So in that dream, there was me, the three other people, and then this like conservation officer. And she said, look at each person in your dream as an aspect of yourself. And I thought that was really wild because I was annoyed with one person and then I was like judging the other person. So when you turn that around to yourself, what are you like annoyed at with yourself? What are you judging yourself about? So it's just like dreams can be just a giant mirror to so many different answers that we're searching for. So if you're having dreams, write them down and just sit with them and really like go inward. Don't quickly go to a dream dictionary or anything else. Just go inward and see what you can find. I think that is the message that came through through that whole experience.
Unreal. You and Troy would have the same dream and the foxes would be silver.
Yeah.
Did she touch on that? About how you guys are having the same kind of dream?
Yeah, she thought that was really interesting because he wasn't even in the same, like we weren't in the same bed even.
Oh,
So
crazy.
yeah, so she just thought that was so wild how we are like finding each other in dream time. I don't know why, but it's just like we're dreaming the same things. And I don't know, maybe we meet there every night.
It's so funny. And, I shouldn't be surprised at this point how connected you guys are, but I still am.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like we don't get to spend as much time together as like a quote unquote regular couple. So I guess maybe we make up for some of that time on the other side. I don't know.
Yeah, in your dream space.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's a really good point too about putting the book down. Because right when you were talking about that, I was like, oh, did you look that up in Allison Edwards' spiritual, like the animal book, right?
Yeah.
That was my first thought. And yes, it is true. Like, okay, but what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Like anything, right? Sitting with it is so key for sure.
Yeah, we're so quick to jump into outward things. It's like, no, we need to turn inwards. Because I did read it in her book, and I was like, nah. And then you try and like kind of put the peg in the square hole, and you're just like, maybe that fits, and it's like, no, it doesn't.
I've done that.
Yeah,
I've done it with clients. I'm like, oh, let me grab that book right away, and I'm just like, they'll have the answer.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it lands, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like I think I had a whale come through and I was just like, oh my God. So, and then the client was like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, hey, no, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So astrology, I did just want to make a note because last time I talked about July not having any crazy retrogrades and it was going to be like a decent month. Well, I was very wrong about that. So I take that back. There's actually 3 planets going into retrograde. So there's Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury. So I should do my research before I say anything, but we usually don't dive that far into astrology. We just keep it to the moons. But yeah, I just wanted to correct myself because I do follow some astrologers on Instagram, but I'm more into the moon energy than going with the retrogrades.
So
Because,
funny, there's people out there just having these retrograde experiences going all curly and crazy. Like,
yeah, yeah, there's
yeah.
a lot going
Sorry,
on
go
this
ahead.
month, apparently. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
apparently.
Yeah, I have felt some crazy energy lately. And who was I talking to? Someone was like, oh, yeah, my brother was saying that his kids were an absolute menace. And I think that was on Sunday. And I was running errands in the city, and I must have gone into 4 different stores. And each store I went into, there was a crying, yelling kid having a tantrum. And I was like, what is going on?
And it's not even like close to a full moon at that point. Like not close
No.
enough that it would make people squirrely.
Well, that's what I thought. I right away I looked, I was like, no, the moon isn't even full yet. I was like, what is going on? But yeah, it's just interesting noticing those little patterns and it probably does relate to astrology, but of course I don't dive that deep into it. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we still have on July 24th, we have that new moon in Leo coming up. So that's a little bit of a fun, like a creative, fiery energy. So again, it's that strength card in the tarot deck. So really good time to hone in on, it's a really good time to hone in on that creativity and that feminine or that masculine creativity and strength, and let that spicy, fiery energy really flare this time of year. Really good for new projects and having your voice heard and setting really bold intentions on that new moon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
sounds all right. I like the sounds of that.
Yeah, I like a good Leo energy.
Oh,
They're
Leo
very
energy makes me
spotlight.
uncomfortable.
Does it?
I have like
Well,
not
yeah,
a
because
lot
it's
of
like very in the spotlight, isn't it?
yeah, and that's like not me at all. I like to be behind the scenes, but yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
good.
All right, so let's get into the episode all about Reiki and channeling. So, how do you explain like channeling to somebody? How would you explain that?
So when me and Christy first learned Reiki, we learned really how to Reiki intuitively. We were never really taught standard hand positions that you learn and that I teach when I teach Usui Reiki. So this was actually a big learning curve for us as it taught us to really listen to our intuition and to be able to channel energy intuitively to where the body needs it and get our messages from the either our guides or for our clients. And so we have this Hara line that runs through our bodies. So it connects us all the way from the top of the ethers and it runs through our 7 major chakra points and grounds us right into the middle of the earth. When you get a Reiki attunement, this Hara line opens up and strengthens that connection. And this is where the channeling comes in from. So the more you practice like meditation or using your intuition, receiving messages, the more this line is strengthened. So think about like going to the gym and you're working the muscle, right? The more you practice, like the stronger the muscle will get. And I definitely have found that with my Reiki as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good explanation of the hairline. And, just to touch back on our experience with Reiki, yeah, it was, kind of being thrown into the deep end. And like the pressure to get those intuitive messages was like, that was the base of that type of Reiki. And looking back, I put so much pressure on myself. I remember like starting at somebody's crown, putting my hands there and being like, oh my God, I don't feel anything. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. And I would just like panic and panic and panic. And then it was just like, and then information would start flowing. But, my Reiki sessions have evolved so much over time that I have really gone back to the basics, to the meat and potatoes of Reiki, like back to Usui Reiki. The first half of my session is I'm doing a lot of the standard hand positions and just feeling the energy and just kind of tuning everything out. Like if something really prominent comes through, like of course I'll note it down, but it's just like I am setting the intention just to move that Reiki, feel that energy in that first half of the session. And then in the next half of the section, I'm meeting with the spirit guides and then channeling messages related to the Reiki. So it's just interesting, as time moves on, your Reiki practice will evolve and change. And I know you can attest to that as well.
Yeah, I remember Christy feeling the exact same way, almost panicked
Yeah.
and like stressed if people, would have to do a session and right, we're both trying to practice on other people, not just ourselves. And yeah, that was too much. And I agree with you. Like, and this is why I love to teach Usui Reiki, because it is the best foundation to have and to build on. But having that good foundation, right? Like we talk about the root chakra being open, and then you can build on top. But I agree with you now. I don't put as much stress on myself if I don't read everything in the body, because I know the Reiki is always channeling first
Yeah.
and foremost really well. And I never have to stress about that because it's always on point. Like 10 out of 10, the Reiki is flowing. So that makes me always feel better. And then I don't think people expect a psychic reading. That's not really why they're coming, right? Anything that's kind of just a bonus is how I figure it. And I tell my students it's a bonus. If something else comes through and you want to give it to them, that's fine.
Yeah. Like if everyone can decide how they want to run their sessions and make sure that's clear when someone is booking a session. Because if they're like, they want to hear from a loved one or they're really hoping for something like that, it's like, yeah, of course we can set that intention, but Reiki is like the main show there. Like that's what we're focusing on. Yeah. And with Reiki, I just like really focus on calming that nervous system down. That's like where my intention is in that first half hour of that session. Because, you think about the world right now and like people are just like, their nervous systems are out of whack. Mine, I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. It's, we really got to put in the effort. So if I can give somebody like a piece of little calmness in their day-to-day life, it's like when they come for Reiki, it's like, I feel like my job is done.
Yes, huge. That's huge. And everyone is dealing with that on some form for sure.
Yep. And yeah, so if you're out there and you have like your level 1 and 2 Reiki and you hear like our experiences about like past lives and doing all these crazy things like with messages coming through, just come back to yourself and it's don't like do the compare game. Just honor yourself and where you're at in your practice. Because, I had this spirit guide analogy come through with one client in the Akashic Records I really wanted to share because I felt like it was so perfect. It's so funny. So they showed me a stove and they showed me all these pots on the stove and they're all boiling and out of control. And it's like, what you need to do is you need to master one dish on that stove. So it was a rice dish. We need to understand how to cook that rice, how to cook it to the perfect consistency and just make a badass rice dish, and then start using the other pots, stir frying vegetables, master that, and then do something else. But you need that basic rice dish first. And that's where I feel like Reiki, that's what it is. Like you need to focus your energy on that and focus on the energy flow, really get to know the chakra system because that will benefit you in any route you go, I feel. So it's just like, it can feel overwhelming. You're like, oh, I want to do all this psychic stuff, but it's just like honing back in and focus on that rice dish.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. Funny how they come in like that.
I know, I love it.
Yeah. So let's really talk about what channeling is to us.
Mm-hmm.
So like this to us is, and Christy, you might have your own opinion about this, but is when you are receiving messages from source or like that higher consciousness, and they're using you to speak the messages out. So sometimes the message can come in so fast and then leave right away. And you might not even remember the message because it wasn't even your own thought. That's why I like to talk during my Reiki sessions, because I won't remember it. And then if I find I have to stop Reiki and like write it down and scribble stuff down, I had a client tell me they thought that was super distracting for them when they were in their meditation state, because they had a practitioner who was stopping to write stuff down each time. And then they were like, well, what are they writing? And then it was like, yeah, they just didn't like it. So that's another reason why I talk to my clients. And then another way we channel during Reiki is not just messages, but we allow spirit to work through both of us, like through me to show me things with my body. And like this to me always feels safe and like I'm in complete control. I can consciously stop it at any time. So some examples would be if I'm trying to get information on how a spirit died or show me where the pain is stuck, my arms will move to give me information. Example, like I'll clutch my chest for a heart attack, or I stabbed my stomach once to show me someone was stabbed in the abdomen. My hands will scan down my body to show me where the issue is in my client as well. So that's like another example of how I channel. So like not just messages, but then spirit will work through my body to help me move my hands to scan the body too, to find areas of disease when I'm doing Reiki and things like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had that experience as well. Like, I'll just let my hands guide me, and all of a sudden I'll be on their hip and I'll be like, oh, do you have a sore like right hip? And they're like, yeah, it's been bothering me lately, or like a shoulder. And you're just like, so it's just like being intentional and just sending a little extra Reiki there. And when we're channeling as well, so like we're channeling that Reiki energy, but then like we're also connecting to like loved ones, or we can connect to our spirit team, like our spirit guides or our client spirit guides, our higher self, their higher self, the archangels, ancestors, goddesses, deities. Like there's so many that you can channel information from. And something that is really important when you do want to connect with something like that, it's like you have to, well, you don't have to, this is just what I do. I wanted to share what I do is like, yeah, first and foremost, always put up protection. And then when you're connecting with like saying the archangels, the goddesses, or the deities, it's like you want to set the intention to connect with the highest and greatest good of all. I always feel like that is something that you really want to like set that in motion. I feel like that is really important because I haven't always done that. And I felt like sometimes you can get different vibing, I don't know, channeling going on. I don't know. I just really want the highest vibration of information coming through for my client.
Well, Ryan actually really brought that to my forefront too, right? Making
Right.
sure you're connecting to beings of love. That's a huge
Yes.
one too. Or the highest and greatest good and beings of love. Because then they can't disguise as something else, especially if you ask if they're of the love.
Yes. Because if you do ask them, they have to answer you truthfully. I remember maybe Elizabeth April said that, or somebody did. I remember reading
John
that.
Dirk, I think.
Oh, yes. That's who it was. Yeah, I was just reading his book today, actually. Pick that one up every once in a while. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes. And you know, too, when when you teach Usui Reiki, they talk about something called biosyn scanning. So that is where they actually encourage you to use your intuition and take your hands and scan the body and to find like ailments or things of unease in the body. So it kind of it too, right? You're channeling that energy in and you're allowing your body to find those places of disease. That's a really good way to like strengthen your channeling and your intuition is by practicing that scanning. So even
Yeah.
if you, I always tell my client or my students, if you like, typically a Reiki session lasts an hour, right? But like, let's say you're done and it's 45 minutes and you're like, well, that like, I'm done. I always say like, well, just scan the body. Cause sometimes you're like, well, I don't want to cheat them out of an hour, especially, yeah, even though, you know, you're done, they paid for an hour, let's say. Always scan their body and just see what comes up. And maybe there's something that feels sticky that you want to just send a little bit more Reiki to. It's a really good thing to do at the end of a session. I encourage it always.
Yeah, I really love that. That is such a great thing to teach. I wish someone would have told me that years ago.
I know. Usui is really good.
It is. It's such a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So there is different types of channeling, like, you know, when we're receiving the messages, like downloads coming through like our crown, and we can there's different ways to, I guess, deliver the message. Is yeah, like when I first started channeling, like when I was getting all these messages, I didn't know what to do with this information. So I actually started writing. So I started automatic writing. And it became too much that I had to start typing because, like, I'm a really fast typer because I used to do dictation, like listen to dictation and type reports. So I can type like probably 100 words a minute. Like, it's crazy. So I would write these freaking novels and then I'd go back and read it. And I was like, wow, that is wild. But I think it's good to start with writing because, like, your hand is an extension of your heart. So it's just like a good place to start. But, yeah, I felt that was a really good place to start. Do you remember when you started channeling?
Yeah, I remember you were doing the automatic writing, and so I wanted to try it too just to see. And I feel like it's definitely better now. And even sometimes after I'm done writing, I kind of like, well, was that me? I second guess it a bit. But then when I go back and read it on a later date, I'm like, wow, that's really good. I feel like I wouldn't have come up with those words together and in my own, It's not the
Yeah.
way I would have articulated it. So I do find that that's always intriguing and really fun to try.
Yeah. I find that's the best place to start. If you're like, I want to start channeling and like nothing's coming through, it's like set that intention, get the piece of paper and the pen and just see what comes through. Maybe you might get one word, or maybe you'll draw a shape or something. I remember I always used to draw the 8, but it was like an infinity sign. It would just go on and on and on. And I don't know what that meant at that moment, and I still don't, but you just follow it. Just trust your intuition.
Yeah, I remember doing shapes as well, actually.
Oh,
And
really?
that was really neat too.
Yeah.
Yes. And those geometric shapes.
Oh, cool.
I found that really interesting as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just let that flow because yeah, of course like channeling can come through shapes and different things like that. It may not always be words. And another type of channeling is like when you see the visions. So you start seeing like a pink flower or a rose when you're over somebody's heart chakra, and it's like, okay, what does that mean? And then start writing that down, build that dictionary, that symbolic dictionary. Sometimes things can come up and it's just specific to that client, but if you start seeing it again and again and again, then it's like that's a really good thing to start writing down and leaning into.
It's actually really funny. I had like two of those things happen when I was working on a client just the other day. And I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? Like, I told them, and then I said that to my client after thinking, like, well, do you know what this means? Because I've never seen this before. And it's so funny how it doesn't matter how long you've been doing Reiki, you'll still get something new. And I'm like, well, why is there a daisy popping up in the root? Like,
Yeah.
just like, I'm expecting her to be able to answer that for me. I was like, is this something for you or am I supposed to figure this out? But you know what? Sometimes I have to chalk it up to, I'm sorry, like, I don't know what this means, but
Yeah.
this is what I'm seeing. And maybe it'll make sense later to me or you, right? Maybe I'll do a session on another client and I'll have the same situation. It'll all come together, or else she'll make sense of it later on. But yeah, that's so funny. I
Yeah.
was like, what?
I think, yeah, stuff comes through later on where you're just like, oh, that's what that meant. So, yeah, just trusting what is coming through and always say what you see and what you feel. Because there was even another time where I had this weird saying come through. And well, this was actually in Akashics. This wasn't Reiki. And it was like, proof is in the pudding. And I never say that. When would I ever say that saying? And I was like, well, I'm just going to say it because that's what's coming through. And lo and behold, that meant something to my client because somebody very close to her used to always say that. So it's just like, as random as shit may seem, I feel like always deliver it. If it's in the intention of love, deliver it.
Yeah, and there's no shame if it doesn't land.
Yeah.
I've had the thoughts when
Oh,
they're
me
like,
too.
no. And I'm
And you're
like,
like,
okay.
oh, okay, shelf
I'm
that
like,
for
well,
now.
we'll put that on the shelf is what I say.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
it'll come together. And you know what? It might not. But, I've had sessions too when I've received where it's been like, hey, Christy, remember when you told me that thing 3 years ago?
yeah,
It weirdly came to light now. I
Yeah.
remember it. It just came into my awareness about us having that session that I completely forgot about. And it's like, oh, this is it now.
Yeah, it's like it may make sense later on, and it's just like we're the reporter. It's like we're not there to judge and filter through all this stuff. It's like we just need to report the information.
Yeah. Yeah. And even sometimes too, like if you're kind of like, well, how do I know this is me? Or what if that's me just making it up? But I find that one, it's not your thought. Or you're like, it's like Christy said, I would never say this expression. It's like, I don't even know if I've heard it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, when it comes in, even sometimes I'm surprised by the answer. Like I'll ask my guide something and then I'll wait and they'll be like, oh, what? Like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'll be like, okay, well, this isn't my thought because I would have never come up with this on my own. So that's like kind of another way. If you're ever like, well, how do I know it's me? Or start second guessing it, say it anyways. Just, I would say, take a chance. That is the best way to build your intuition.
Yeah, it really is, and it's okay to hear 5 no's because then you are going to get that yes, and that yes is going to feel good.
And it trumps the nose.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And another thing I wanted to share, like when you're channeling messages, if stuff is coming through and, it's like in fear or you're kind of scared or something like that, I feel like that isn't channeling. That would be like your anxiety maybe coming through, or I guess everybody's so different, but I just feel like it's really important to know your own thoughts, like your own headspace before you start channeling. Because if you can't clear your own thoughts and get to, and like, we use that analogy, like we have all the tabs open on the Internet Explorer or Safari, whatever you use. It's like we need to learn to close all those tabs. And then we're able to open up one browser at a time and then realize if another browser is opening up, who is that? What's going on? It's like really important to be in that good mental space as well.
Yes. And you'll almost find that you can't channel as well if you're not.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Like if I'm like, ooh, like in the dumps, then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like I just like it's not as good of a connection as when I'm like, woohoo,
Yeah.
I get a new Reiki tonight. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
But even if I am like kind of in that, like in the dumps, I was talking about when I'm trying to channel, me channeling Reiki never ever is distorted by that ever. So like talking about channeling when you're doing your healing on a client. So like when I'm working on someone energetically, even now I've grown my practice in my I guess channeling so much now that I will even use like that violet breath that they talk about in Usui Reiki. I'm sure this is in lots of other ones, but I will suck things out like of my client and blow it out my window. I don't ever swallow it. And then sometimes I'll even blow warm air into the chakra point. So I'll like kind of blow warm air into my hands, like almost like you would like to light an ember. And I will put that into their chakra. So I use a lot of my breath now. And I feel like that's kind of a big one, even when you're doing like a Kundalini kind of work, right? Using your breath and like sweeping or circle the energy or even take energy out and mold it. Sometimes I've done that and like put it back into place. I'm like, this is all like me. I don't even have to think about it. I could have a full conversation with my client if they wanted while I'm doing this because it's all just so fluid and smooth and it just happens. And this is something that has really grown a lot stronger and more advanced like every session I do. I like where I started and where I am now is vastly different. It's way faster. I'm way more confident in it. And again, like nothing ever feels like I'm not in control, like Christy said. Like it never feels like anxiety. It never feels bad. And I can always stop it at any time. So I personally love channeling energy like that. It actually feels really good for me and it never drains me either because I'm getting that Reiki and that energy is passing through me. So I'm receiving it as I'm still giving it to my clients. So just another way that I really like to channel. And it doesn't matter. I find this the easiest one. And then, of course, the more I practice channeling message from spirit and giving those ones, the better and easier that gets too.
Yep. That's right. You're flexing that muscle. You're making that muscle stronger each time you step into that Reiki room with a client. It's like you're building that. And it's just like we all have to start somewhere. Like if you look back to where we started and where we are now, it's like we go on quite a journey and we learn something through our mistakes and our yeses and our nos. And it's just like, but that's part of the fun. If I landed where I am now with not going through the journey I went on, I wouldn't appreciate all the things I've learned and everything that I've gone through. So if you're in the midst of it and you're on this journey and you're wondering what the heck is going on, just trust the flow, like trust what's coming through and just trust your journey.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know who's a really good example of channeling? Is Abraham Hicks.
Yes. Yeah.
When she speaks. Because you will notice she flows. She
Yep.
never uses filler words or like this, those pauses. It just flows and you just know she is channeling. It is probably the best example of just channeling messages right from spirit.
Yeah. And she's got a ton of practice too. So of course it's just going to flow, but that is like a really good, like expander to listen to and just be like, wow, look what she can do. Cause, even I had a client message me and she said, when you start channeling, your voice changes. And I was like, oh, that's wild. She noticed that. But yeah, I can feel it now. Like I can feel the information coming through. And it's like, it's at a point where it comes through and I don't even know what I'm saying. And I'm just saying it. So it's like a download that's happening and it's just coming through. So I went from drawing a number 8 on a piece of paper to where I am now, where this information is just flowing. So it's just like, you got to follow that path and like practice. They say practice makes perfect, but I forget where it was, but somebody was like, practice makes progress. Oh, that's what I was learning, how to do watercolor painting. And the guy teaching was like, practice makes progress. And I was like, yeah, I kind of like that better because I have a problem with perfectionism. So
that is a great expression. Love that. So I have like a story of example of when I've channeled during Reiki. So I have one client specifically that every time she comes for a session, well, not every time, but recently, definitely, I channel the druidesses. So I don't know if you guys know who that is, but the druids were women in very old times. I wouldn't really call them witches, but they were definitely accused of being witches. They were just really worshipped the lady. They did the moon ceremonies. They really worked with the earth and just really intuitive and really amazing women. So when this girl comes for a Reiki session, I can see all these women come together and circle around the table when I do a Reiki session on her. And we even move with our hands out, touching one another. And it's a very deliberate as everyone comes and works on this lady. And they show me mudras that they use with their hands and healing techniques for her to know. Like it's all very fascinating. But again, it doesn't feel bad. It feels very good. And it feels like I remember I was so involved in this circle with these women as I was doing Reiki, and the girl on the table, she said something and it almost like ripped me back into this reality. And it was almost like my soul went right back into my physical body and almost jolted me into like a state of like shock because I was just in such a deep state of like channeling this energy with this women. Oh God. We laughed about it, but oh yeah, but that's another really interesting example of how I've channeled during Reiki, and it's actually very fascinating to me that can come in like that.
oh yeah, a whole like team of healers to come in and then show you mudras and healing technique. Like that's wild.
Yeah. And like even just like holding space while they worked on her.
Yeah.
And seeing things. Yeah, it was very interesting.
That is. And you know what's interesting about Reiki sessions, like when you're in the space and you're doing Reiki, I always feel like there's so much energy in that room. Like if Ren, my dog, is in the room with me, she's looking in other places. And I actually have a video of her watching this orb in the room. And just like, if you can't connect with them or see them yet, just trust that they are there with you. Because I feel like when each client comes, they're bringing their spirit team and maybe their ancestors, or maybe, yeah, some of the goddesses or whoever they work with are in that room with you. And they're ready to be tapped into when the opportunity comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories, Christy?
I have so many different experiences with Reiki clients. And yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint one, but one that is coming through right now, it's actually not related to Reiki, but it's related to channeling and the ethics behind it. So when I first opened up, like when I first got my Reiki, and I had like crazy experiences with mediumship. So that was like something that was coming in strong. And yeah, so many things. But this one situation happened when I was getting my oil change, and I was sitting in the car, and there's a younger male helping me, very nice man, and his mom was in spirit, and she was bothering me. Well, I shouldn't say bothering me, but she was like, hey, oh, you can hear spirits. Can you like give my son a message? And she was like showing me on a rocking chair and her son sitting on her lap. They're looking through a photo album, and like she's going through all these things. Can you tell him I'm so proud of him and all this stuff? And I'm sitting there in this car, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I was like, this guy is at work. I don't know if he lost his mom a week ago, 6 years ago. I don't know where he is in that grief journey. And I really want to respect that. And I wasn't at the point where I could really have a conversation with this spirit on the other side. So I was just like doing this whole dance of what I should do, what should I not do? Because if I told him that message and, say that grief was really fresh and it just like ruined his day, and say he started crying at work and had to go home, or maybe it would have been well received and he would have gave me a hug. Like there's so many different scenarios. So I told the spirit, like his mom, I said, visit him in dream time and let him know your message. And I just felt better about that. So it's like I set the intention for the message to be delivered, but in a different way. So I didn't just leave her high and dry. But I remember going for groceries after that whole situation. I called Troy and I was like, just a mess. I was like, did I do the right thing? I don't know what to do. And I was just like, but like looking back, I did do the right thing. And, yeah, just with like receiving even random messages. I used to receive messages like for coworkers and like my friend's mom. And I felt like it was cool because I knew things people didn't, and I just deliver these messages and, they weren't always well received. So it was a learning curve where it was just like, you need to kind of check yourself. Like, is somebody ready to receive a message? Does somebody want to hear a message? And it's just like, I set the intention. If they want to hear something, they're going to ask me. I'm not just going to abruptly just tell someone something. So that was like my whole journey with the channeling and the ethics and everything behind that.
Absolutely. Not everybody wants to hear a message like that. And you're right. You don't know where they are on their grieving journey.
No.
I've heard a lot of experiences like that where it's like, oh, someone's coming in. Yeah, well, I didn't like them.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they were my mom or they have a title like that. I don't want to hear from them. It's like, okay, we have to respect that.
Yeah.
Another thing too, you kind of want to, like, if you're channeling, especially, Christy mentioned this, you really want to make sure you're calling in that higher consciousness and of love for sure. Put up that protection around you. And I know people who sit and they actually channel spirit into their body, like that can get pretty draining. I've heard. Me personally, I haven't had that experience like that. Mine's always during a Reiki session. So mine never feels draining or I don't know really how else to put it. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm not in control ever or anything is like physically entering in my body. It doesn't ever feel like that for me. It just feels like the energy is moving my body in a way, but it's not inhibiting it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Because, yeah, that whole trance channeling, I've listened to lots of podcasts about it. And, yeah, there's different perspectives on what's actually happening. but I had an experience where like I felt the spirit enter me, and it was like, and I was doing the actions of that spirit, and that didn't feel good. So I set the boundary that that is not what I want to do. And I don't think it happened after that. It was just like, no, that's not the way I want to receive information. So if anything happens that's uncomfortable for you, you can set that boundary. Like, we are the humans here. We have the power. We can be like, nope, don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, set the boundary.
Yep. All right. So if like you're new to channeling or it's something you want to dip your toe in, I actually have a really good book I wanted to mention. I actually listened to the audio book. It's by Lisa Campion. So she's the one that wrote The Art of Psychic Reiki. Amanda found that book, which is amazing. So that's a great book. But she also wrote a book on just how to be psychic, and she shares stories, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I feel like that's a really good source to have.
I just listened to an audiobook by her.
Oh, did you?
I think
Was
it
it
was
that
on
one?
mediumship. I can't remember. That's so funny that you say that though. And I also found it good. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, I would love to have her on the podcast sometime.
Oh, yes. Let's set
Yeah.
that intention.
But yeah, and yeah, just some tips for, starting that practice. I feel like meditation is something that is very important, and that's self Reiki. So you want to make sure you're a clear vessel. Like, you want to clean the table. You don't want to channel with dirty dishes still on that table. So taking out the trash, clearing your own energy, and being responsible for your own channel is very, very important.
You know what? Yes, because when I do past life regressions, I always do Reiki first. So the chakra points are clear so they can get those messages in through get that channeling in and that information through the chakra points. That is why, if you ever book a past life regression with me and you're like, oh, she's doing Reiki on me first, that's why. Because I want you to be able to get those messages in nice and clear that's coming through.
I love that. That is just like, yeah, you're just setting the stage, just clearing everything
Yes.
out. Like, say they were stuck in traffic on the way to your house, let's let that go and let's be in that
Right?
present moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just,
Meditation.
yeah. Yes, that's key. I know you're a avid meditator.
Oh, it's kind of slipping away from
Oh,
me, to be honest. But I need to bring this to practice. I know, you guys, life happens,
it
but
does.
I'm
And
working
that's
on it.
okay, though. It's like that practice is always there when you need it. And I've started putting 15 minutes like in the morning of something intentional, like moving my body, sitting in silence, just doing something. So it's like, I just need to not complicate it. But yeah, that meditation, clearing the mind, knowing your thoughts, knowing how to clear your thoughts, I think that's the best place to start.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's it for the episode. If you have any stories you want to share with us, you can always email us, or you can message us on Instagram at Living the Reiki Life. We love to hear stories.
And Christy's going to grace us with a card pull now for the
Oh,
end of the
yes.
episode.
Yes, I am. Okay. Okay, let me just get my cards here. Okay, so I asked my spirit guides to share about some tips if somebody wants to start channeling in their Reiki practice, or if they just want to start, tuning into that psychic ability. So the first card that came through was community calls, and it's like a picture of this one bird soaring, and there's some other couple birds flying away. And community calls is very important because when we can share our experiences with other people, we can bounce ideas off each other, we can share, we can grow. And like, that is what this podcast is all about, to not make you feel alone on your journey, and not, when you start receiving messages, I don't want anybody to start feeling crazy about them either. I've had times where I start questioning my own sanity, and then I'll message Amanda and she'll talk me like down. It's so important to have that community behind you when you start going down this route. Even just having that one friend you can chat with, or even like joining a community. And, it's funny that not to mention this right here and right now, but our Reiki circle is a great space to create that community, which is happening on July 21st. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention that in there, but it just came through. So yeah. Just finding that community, whether it is in your physical community or online. I feel that is very important when you're starting this journey and starting to learn. And the next card is messages from the third eye. And when people start their psychic journey, it's like they really want that third eye piece. It's like, I really want to see things. Like they feel like that is the best clair there is. But you know what? Each clair has their own ability and their own pros and cons. So it's like, don't have that gift envy of, oh, I wish I could see, but I don't see. It's like, well, lean into your other sense and see what comes through. But the spirit guides are saying, if you do want to, practice that muscle in the third eye, there's lots of different meditations you can do. And there is a way to really lean into that energy and really focus on that one chakra. And they're also saying, like, don't ignore the crown chakra when you're working on the third eye, because if, like, they're showing me like muddy waters in the crown chakra. So if you picture like water flowing down through the crown to the third eye, if that water is muddy, you're going to be muddying up that third eye chakra. So make sure that crown is clear before you connect to that third eye. And self Reiki is something very important here. Just to do like, that sandwich hold. I've told many clients about that, with the hand on the forehead and then the other hand on the back of the skull, and just really tuning into that third eye. And I think Amanda's mentioned before, like the back of the third eye at that base of the skull. That's also another important place to send Reiki to. So yeah, it's just like, everybody has their abilities, and it's just, that's the fun part, is like learning your strengths and then following those breadcrumbs, like following that journey. Because if somebody just came out and said like, this is what you need to do, without you doing your trial and error, the journey wouldn't be as sweet. So just follow that intuition on what you feel is the best, your best sense. Because of course, like, I've told people in the past about like what I feel their gifts are, but always tune into yourself first, right? And then the last one is vulnerability is power. And yeah, they're saying like when you start tuning into your energy field and into this psychic gifts, it's almost like a cleansing has to happen, and you have to get vulnerable with yourself. Like, when you get your Reiki attunement, a cleansing process does happen, and you really need to hold that space for yourself and be able to look at all the aspects of yourself, your shadow self. What parts of yourself are you hiding from? And, it's so crazy how those uncomfortable parts of ourselves is usually where the hidden gifts lie, and there's also another piece to that is, I feel like some people have gifts and they feel like it's really natural to them, but they don't know it's natural. They're like, oh, everybody can see with their third eye. And it's like, no, not everybody can. That is your gift. Or people have that clear knowing, like, oh, hey, I just knew she was going to call in sick today. Or, hey, I knew it was going to rain tomorrow. It's like, no, not everybody has that gift. That is your gift. So that's another thing that they're talking about, is like getting out your journal, and when you're tuning into your psychic gifts and wanting to know what your psychic gifts are, it's like, ask yourself, what am I naturally good at? Or even like ask a friend or ask your mom, like, what am I naturally good at? And then it's like brainstorming from there. So I feel like that is another piece to lean into, to kind of find out like what your gifts are and where you lie. And the last message that is coming through is that they want to remind everybody about how beautiful and how powerful each and every one of us are. We go through life and we're stripped of our power, and we're not reminded of how amazing we are. And we are a piece of creation. So of course we can create what we want. And that seems yeah, okay. I think I'll end there because I feel like they could talk all night. So I'm gonna shut that down. So yeah, well, sorry guys, I'm not gonna shut that down. So thank you for your time and thank you for your messages, and I hope someone can take a piece of that. And yeah, all right. That's it.
Talk about channeling. That was a perfect example.
Yeah. I know, and
Yes,
I'm
I love
sweating.
that. I love that about the crown and the muddy water into the third eye. I was like, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that one too.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Spirit
you.
guides.
That was
Yeah.
so good.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, always coming through with the wisdom, those spirit guides.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and give us a 5-star review if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify. We really appreciate it. And two, Christy mentioned we have the Reiki Circle in July 21st, and it's at 7 p.m. CST, Saskatchewan time. So make sure you're getting that time zone correct. And I always like to send out reminder emails before we go live. So try and join us. It's a really great experience, and I love the community that we're growing. And even last time, we had other people who had messages for other people in the Reiki circle, so that was super cool when we were doing our Reiki. And follow us on our own pages. Mine is Reiki with Manda.
And mine is the Birch Soul.
Awesome.
All right, ciao for now.
Bye.
1, 2.